right on the head on that. Well, I didn't even realize that the storm was coming whenever we did the last, if it popped off tonight, and we were talking about the snowstorm, so that was kind of interesting.
It's the first time in history that Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina will have more snow than Colorado has on the Front Range, according to.
Yeah, we'll see if it actually happens, huh?
Yeah, we'll see if it happens. One way or another, then they're going to get. Nobody likes moist. I can't say moist. They're going to get wet. It's going to, at a bare minimum, they're going to get a lot of rain if it doesn't get cold. Is the point I was trying to make.
Expect a lot of humidity and potential some type of precipitation.
Precipitation. Yeah.
All right, you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
All right,
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Daily Carry Podcast. Today we're going to be covering a lot, and we are going to dive right into it. But some things that we're going to be talking about briefly and some at length is going to be what's going on right now with the U.S., with Greenland, with Denmark, what's going on with the storm that's supposed to come up this weekend. We on the last episode in our What If It Popped Off Tonight segment, we went into what if a massive snowstorm hit right now. Are you ready? Potential power outages, potential problems with heat. What are you doing? Well, just so happens there's a pretty significant storm coming this weekend, and I didn't really even know that.
In all fairness, neither of us knew it.
Yeah, we were just having fun digging into a scenario, and we'll do that again a little bit later in the episode today. But for now, we're about to go straight into the Daily Scroll. We scroll so that you don't have to. We're going to cover the heavy-hitting headlines today, and we're going to just dive into this conversation here. Let me pull up X, and we got a mixture of a couple different things that we're going to be talking about today, and let's dive in. Put it on the TV here.
I did do a set change there, by the way. I had to put a hat on. It feels like a hat kind of day. Go ahead.
Wardrobe change.
Let's get it.
Okay, here we go. Well, first up is obviously just this potential historic storm. Look at this. 175 plus million people across 30 states are in the path of a potentially historic snow and ice storm. The storm will span from the south to the mid-Atlantic coast. Long-duration power outages are possible.
A lot of snow. Last time I was in South Carolina, so this would have been 96, 7. I'd have to look it up. They called it the storm of the century there. We got a foot. And my only memory is I had to actually go take the snowplow into our neighborhood because the guy that was driving the snowplow had never driven in snow before.
Man.
Yeah. They had 3 snowplows, I think, in the entire state. And as a cop, I had to drive it down the hill.
Yeah. Man. Well, maybe Colorado's going to have to start sending some snowplows down if it gets bad enough, huh?
I might go visit.
Yeah. Interesting. But anyways, just be aware. There could be a big storm this in the next couple days, so maybe be a little bit prepared and ready to weather that. Go listen to our last episode. Might give you some ideas on some preparation for that. Moving on here, we've got some news on TikTok, and I'm intimately familiar with TikTok and some issues there. They have reset my monetization clock on a couple of videos that would have been pretty big payouts, and it's pretty disappointing. But the reason I really thought that this was relevant, first of all, it's got quite a bit of traction, a good amount of views here, and the headline is, apparently TikTok is openly silencing and stopping content of those preaching the gospel or inviting people to salvation.
What?
Did you read that?
No.
This is insane. This is still the headline. I'm still reading. No more hiding their agenda. It's public. I noticed in the last few weeks, many of my posts on that platform are being labeled with ineligible for recommendation. I'm so familiar with that. But it's also because we throw guns and knives in, and they don't like those kinds of things. But it says, so I decided to dive deeper, and I found this screenshot below. It says, P.S. Thank God for Elon Musk purchasing X. Otherwise, all social media platforms would be implementing this. He's already thinking about buying an airline, so why not another social media platform? I would be cool. But in the meantime, I'm definitely going to have to. I don't even have Pit Boss on X. I got to put Pit Boss on X because they have definitely robbed us a few times. TikTok has. But not to mention, there's also whenever we were live streaming at our last JWI event, Jared Wayne Invitational, for those listening.
There you go.
I had my one of the guys live streaming off of my phone onto the TikTok. They cut out the live stream as soon as I finished my match and began to testify. As soon as I mentioned Jesus Christ, live stream cut. Here's the search that was in ChatGPT that the guy put on here as a screenshot. Why your content triggers this. Based on your posts, and it talks about some religious stuff, public worship, altar calls, public school footage, street evangelism, Jesus-centered calls. There are three main flags TikTok applies. Number one, religious persuasion in public spaces.
What?
TikTok is very sensitive to content that calls people to make a decision, invites repentance or salvation, shows mass religious response, even if it's peaceful. Why? TikTok categorizes this as ideological or belief-based persuasive content. That category is allowed but not recommended. This includes, do you believe in Jesus? Hundreds receive salvation. Public school comes to Jesus. So imagine that.
Yeah, I guarantee you, unequivocally, without a fact, I'll double down on right now in a statement. It doesn't apply to Muslims in the middle of New York Street in Dearborn. You know why? Because I watch it on TikTok all the time. All the time. There's 50,000 dudes out there on prayer rugs the other day on TikTok.
Yeah.
Doing a prayer call.
Yeah.
So I guess it's selective.
Man, they definitely, I mean, even with just throwing guns and knives in, and I've appealed successfully several videos, but they've still made so many of my videos ineligible for recommendation, and then they've disqualified it from the rewards programs. But one of the most recent videos we had that went really viral, after we got to like 4-point-something million views on that video, they took the video down. I appealed it, and I was like, this is no different than the other videos. We're using training weapons in a safe environment, a controlled environment. We're trained professionals. They put the video back up, but they reset the monetization clock.
Of course they did.
Instead of earning a potential, potentially up to like $2,000 on that video for the creator rewards program, it goes down to like maybe $200.
Sure.
Which, I mean, hey, it's still money for content, but still, it's. I know
Feels
I'm
like
not the only one. It's literally people being robbed.
Yeah, it's legalized robbery. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's like much of our taxes right now here. I mean, I could wrap it. That stuff like that ticks me off because, again, so this is, let's just take 10 seconds. Minnesota church, Don Lemon goes in, does his thing. He wouldn't do that in downtown Dearborn. He wouldn't have walked into a mosque. So it's very selective what the progressives are doing, what the Chinese are doing in TikTok. But, dude, I bet I watched, with zero embellishment, I know I watched 8-10 videos the other day, all on TikTok, all of Muslims in the street. That's where I was getting all my information from. Al Jazeera, it was all over it. CNN, they were talking about kitty cats. Or Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh, we can
Or
talk about that. We could lean into this a lot, but let's move on. Here's one that was interesting. This is getting a lot of traction. Tucker Carlson was talking about this. This is astonishing. These figures are quite a warning. In the U.S. in 1950 versus now, New York, 90% of people were white in 1950, now 30%. In L.A., 94% were white, now 37%. In Detroit, 84% were white, now 10%. In Chicago, 86% were white, now 29%. In Philadelphia, 80% were white, now 36%. In Baltimore, 76% were white, now 27%. I think, are we like endangered or something?
I feel like an endangered male. I'll be honest with you.
I think we're endangered males.
So
we're on the brink of extinction.
we're on the brink of extinction. The progressive liberal social entitlement front. It's so funny because this is what you fought for. This is what you got, and now you're not there anymore. Like literally. So do you think Governor Newsom's going to be in California for very long? Do you think? I mean, just start filling in the blank with these guys.
Yeah.
This stuff cracks me up. It's so sad and it's so pathetic. And here's what really angers me about it is it's just siloing people. And we can rabbit trail this another time. I realize we're just doing quick takes, but it does. It silos people. And look at the division right now. So those stats actually don't lie.
Yeah. That's interesting, though. It's such an interesting take, and it'll give you some perspective. I don't know. There's probably more to unpack there that I'm probably not really intelligent enough to unpack, but it's still interesting to read, even if you're not the most intelligent person in the room. Moving on here, we've got another post on Greenland. This was awesome. This is getting a lot of traction. It's got 5 million interactions. It looks like 5 million views on X, and It's Wendy Patterson who posted this. I'm not sure who she is, but this is the narrative. Europe. Greenland is not for sale. Trump will pay you $700 billion and 100,000 to each person on Greenland. Europe. We don't need the U.S. Greenland is not for sale. NATO. If you try to take Greenland, you're kicked out of NATO. Okay, kick us out.
Sweet.
And our 5% out of NATO. And the U.S. will take Greenland because your two sleds can't stop me. Europe and NATO. Greenland is not for sale, but the U.S. can use Greenland. Whatever you want, whatever you need. Trump, okay, we'll keep our money. Use Greenland and the rest of the Arctic. Europe, okay.
So if I heard all of that correct, it's actually not costing us anything.
And we get to do whatever we want.
And we can leave NATO, which would be the best thing ever.
It is.
Since we're the biggest supporter by, I think we're 54% of all of NATO contributions compared to every other country in the world.
Hey, let this just be something to think about. Regardless of anybody's ideas of Trump and regardless of any of his shortcomings, which are very real, just like any other human on the planet, he's got a book that's called The Art of the Deal.
Yeah.
The man knows how to get deals done. And this is a pretty textbook example.
It's funny because it started with $700 billion and now it's down to zero.
Moving on. Elon reposted this. This was a post from Arthur McWatters. Not sure who that is, but here's a post that was reshared by Elon Musk. Can some people explain this? The budget for homelessness has gone up 5 times in the past years, over $1 billion in SF alone. Where's that? South Florida? Is that what that was? Maybe
I don't know. That's SF to me is
Special Forces.
Yeah,
over $1 billion in special forces.
I'm assuming somebody's going to be laughing at us online, like, you guys are idiots. You don't know what this even means.
Whatever. Yet the population of homeless only goes up. The only people benefiting are the NGO owners, who are paid based on the total number of homeless people they manage.
Yeah.
Wherever a government/NGO industrial complex fails to deliver results and yet gets more funding, you can be sure that fraud and waste are rampant. In this case, it is truly a fraud industrial complex. However large the fraud is in Minnesota, it is multiple times larger in California.
I was thinking San Francisco when you said that.
San Francisco. That's what it is.
Only because everybody there is sleeping on the street except Pelosi. She's
There's
just
a
really
graph
wise in her
here.
investment.
There's a graph here showing the spend over the past several years. Well, this was actually leading up to 2020, 2021. And it has a spending cost versus the homeless population. And one of the first guys who unveiled to me the problem with this was Colleen Noor on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah.
Started talking about this homeless situation. If you go listen to that episode, it's wild, but it makes perfect sense. There's people, NGOs specifically, a lot of them nonprofits, that are absolutely 100,000% profiting off of homeless people. They want the problem to get worse because a lot of these programs are paid based on how many people are homeless.
Yeah.
There's got to be a lot of change in order to fix this problem.
Well, we're 20 billion plus in Minnesota in just a couple programs alone, last I read. How accurate is that? I don't know, but they're using the B word.
Yeah.
Billions.
Man.
For all the thousandaires out there, all the people, thousandaires.
Yeah.
One of my favorite statements.
Thousandaires.
Yeah, you're millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, thousandaire.
10,000aire.
Dollaraire. We got a lot of dollaraires out there right now going, hey, where are my tax dollars going?
Centionaire.
And then they see the billions being sent over there. Yeah, buddy.
What's he gonna? Well, we're gonna lean into talking about that stuff more.
Can't wait.
We're gonna keep on the scroll because we're scrolling, so you don't have to. All right. X Freeze posted. Nick Shirley testifies on the $24 billion California homeless fraud. $24 billion went missing from homelessness. They're trying to build this train for years, yet there's hardly any proof for that. Anything to prove for that.
Have you seen it, by the way?
No. I heard him talking about it, though.
It's so funny.
Good job to him. He did a good job on the stand.
Yeah.
Reading further in this article is continuing on the homelessness and the problems there. And just some gripes and some very valid concerns. But Nick Shirley did a good job on the stand. If you didn't go and listen to that.
Fraud in
recommend it.
California might be worse than the fraud in Minnesota.
What makes you say that?
Well, $24 billion went missing for homelessness. They've been trying to build this train for years, yet there's hardly anything to prove for that. Fires.
Yeah, those are good points. So let's run through a couple of those. Because I mentioned the areas where we have confirmed fraud, but then you also have these areas where you have so much spending, and then we look at what results from that spending, and there's nothing. So $24 billion in homelessness, and yet the homeless population went up, and a state audit
Crazy.
found that they couldn't even figure out where the money went or what the outcomes linked to
couldn't
that
figure out where the
spending
money
were. Is
went.
that something that is kind of a
Nothing.
red flag for you?
$24
Yeah,
billion.
it's a major red flag, and you don't even have to be smart to be able to know that that's a red flag.
Well, unfortunately,
even
our
have to be
state
smart.
legislators haven't managed to figure that out, or at least the governor hasn't. So what are you saying about him?
They're not smart. No, but yeah, I mean, it's so obvious, and that's what we saw in Minnesota is how complicit the government has been in enabling this fraud to happen.
Dude, you got to go.
Quality
Good
Learning
guy.
Center had
You
over
got to
90
go stand
violations,
underneath
yet they continue to use that daycare
the train over
$1.8
there.
million.
It's awesome. I'm telling you, when we went over there, first thing I wanted to see is the epicenter of the development of this thing. It looks like somebody put like a little concrete pillar up. There's like a couple concrete pillars over the top, and it's just sitting. It's connected to nothing. It's going nowhere, and it's like the portion I saw was like 100 yards long, and it's supposed to run hundreds upon hundreds of miles. It goes from like here to the end of the parking lot. And there's billions spent on, and there's just materials that are laying around. Here's the part that I noticed the most. There's materials that have been laying around for years. They've been sitting there in the weather, in the salt air, and they are just 100% rust.
Man.
And I mean, like concrete is rusted. Like it is just, it looks like a zombie apocalypse. And this is their moving system, and they still keep paying for it. That's the kicker.
Yeah.
The money's still going into it.
That is just ridiculous. Well, anyways, Nick Shirley, ladies and gentlemen, doing good work for the country. Go tune in some of his work. He is definitely,
They're not smart.
he's definitely worth a listen. All right. And moving on here, we've got one of these last ones to go into, which is more of a fun one. Excellent point here. Giga-based dad. Don't know who that is, but we're reading the meme he posted. In many churches today, it's considered worse to judge evil than to do evil.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. There's no such thing as righteous judgment anymore because you're a white supremacist if you do it. At least in my world. That's what I got called yesterday.
Yeah.
That's a whole story, by the way.
All right.
And that was not in Target. Let me clarify. I did not go into Target. I didn't get called a white supremacist in Target, but I did get called a white supremacist for the first. I'm 57 years old, and for the first time in my life, I got called a white supremacist.
Well, you know, you are an endangered species as a white person.
I'm an endangered male.
You know.
Yep.
All right. Hot take. Go.
World's flipped upside down. A continuation of 2.0 of yesterday. What's in that leather-bound book is where people need to be. If you don't believe in God, you're an atheist, you're agnostic, and you're like, I'm just going to live my life on earth. Whatever I get out of it, I get out of it. You can still be a nice person. You can still use common sense. And you should be able to look at a video of people walking into a church, screaming and yelling at over whatever cause they believe in their progressive liberalism. And you should be able to look at a child cowering underneath their parent and recognize, if nothing else, you've taken it too far in that moment, and step away and be a better person. And if you can't do that, then whatever comes at you and however fast it comes at you, you deserve.
My hot take on all this is I think that the common theme that we can find behind many of the problems is at some point in our history as a country, men became suppressed, specifically Christian men with good moral values and a good moral compass. They started taking a backseat. They started down the road of passivity. We're in a country where we have religious freedoms, yet the ones we see actually having the loudest voices now, and it's been this way for a while, and there's been quite a shift, are ones that are wanting to practice religions that literally call for radical violence against those who don't believe what they believe. Christianity is the opposite of that. Christianity is radical love. Christianity is radical invitation to, hey, everybody can come into this fold of loving in this incredible love that we get to experience from our Savior. So I'm immediately segueing into my cold truth. The cold truth is we need more Christian men to step up and lead. We need good leaders. That's what it's going to take for us to even begin on a pathway with any hope to recovering in this country and getting away from many of these issues that we have. Is we need Christian men, endangered males, not just white ones, by the way. I'm not racist, don't worry.
Just straight up endangered males. All good men.
Many people would probably say I'm racist just because I am white. You know what they probably are if they say that? Probably racist.
Yeah, probably.
But I'm not a racist. Don't worry online. Christianity is for everybody. And regardless of your skin color, you know what heaven's going to look like? It's going to have all kinds of different people. But it's going to be the people who chose Christ and chose to follow him, even whenever it's uncomfortable, even whenever we're in a crazy world right now that is persecuting Christians all over the place and suppressing Christians all over the place, just like we talked about on TikTok. It's crazy to see how very blatant the world is just trying to push to the curb, suppress, and promote all these other ideas, religions, all these other belief systems, but Christianity, no. Why? Tell me why.
I don't know. I mean, maybe your answer was in your TikTok devaluation of your video that you put out. So I think it's because people are afraid of it because they know it's the truth. Truth scares people to death. And that's why people lie. It's why we all lie. It's why we've all had situations where we can look back and you have a conscience and you have guilt and you're like, oh. And to me, there's a big difference between, I've got a 4-year-old who's asking me a question and I'm trying to maneuver the answer because he's not equipped or prepared to handle the answer, even though it could be a very sincere, direct question, or a 7-year-old, 12-year-old, or whatever it may be. But there's a time where you got to come back and you got to have truthful conversations. And I think right now what you're seeing is people are terrified of the truth, and they know that they're terrified of the truth. And it's way easier to keep swinging that sledgehammer at a thumbtack and hitting it as hard as you can to prove your point, as opposed to just sitting back and realize, man, all I needed was a thumb to put that thumbtack in. But they're just swinging hard at everything. So TikTok's afraid of the truth. I mean, the bottom line is you got a bunch of cowards sitting at the top of the food chain making a gazillion dollars. Everybody's posting their funny little cat videos, and they're great. I love them. They're funny. Like, I get it. But if that is your platform and that's all it's about, then what substantive value you have in life? You have none. And if you're going to go show prayer rugs in the middle of New York and 50,000 people in Dearborn, but you're going to take the Jared Wayne Invitational testimony out, we got feckless leaders on top of organizations that are terrified of the truth. And that, to me, is... that will always be the case because it started in the Garden of Eden. It just started there.
Yeah.
Here's the tree. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. And the first thing they did is they did the wrong thing, and then they wanted to cover up because they were embarrassed, and we've lived with it ever since.
Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that there's a lot to unpack there. And maybe we go a little deeper with that in a little bit. But I would just say, kind of ending my thought on that is, whenever I say Christian men not being active, not using their voice, being passive, I'm not calling for radical violence. I'm just calling for men to stand, take a stand, use your vote, use your voice. Don't tolerate evil taking over schools and churches. Stand up and do something about it. I think about the men who are just sitting in that church whenever these protesters came into the church, private property. And I like to think that, we have an exception a little bit here. It's a smaller church still. We're very much in our infancy with the church that we have here, Victory Church. But I like to think that if somebody comes in, we got a lot of men in here that are going to be kicking people out.
Yeah.
I am pretty certain of that. And I'd be one of them. I would be one of them. This is private property. You're not allowed here. I will call the cops, but I'm also not going to wait for them. I will push you out the door myself. This is private property, and you have no business being here if you have bad intentions. If you're here causing a scene, causing disruption, this is not a public property. You don't have a right to come in here with your video camera and film and scream and protest and make a scene. You don't have that right. You don't, because this is private property, and this is housing private business, and also at that point in a church service, it's housing private right to our religious freedoms.
Right.
So somebody's getting kicked to the curb. It's just the way that it's supposed to be, and that's what I think we're missing, is men willing to take a stand, even if there's a video camera. There's right, there's wrong, there's wrong. You're going to get charged potentially for putting hands on somebody and pushing them out? Yeah, but I also believe that there's so many of those people that if they actually go into a church and somebody grabs them and pushes them out, majority of the rest of them are actually going to just leave. They're not. I think that the bravery is all bark. Whenever it comes to these people, they're so used to just being able to do whatever they want, and usually it's just having the loudest voice in the room. That's about it. If as soon as things become, all right, get out of this space, you're not welcome here, you don't have a right to come in here and protest, I think most of them will follow suit if there's at least one example. That's what we're lacking right now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just this boundary probing that's leading us down this slippery slope to where now, okay, that was the first probably of many, if we're not careful. If men don't stand up and just have a spine and kick people out, protect their families as they are practicing their religious freedoms, as they're worshiping their God, protect the sanctity of that. Stand up. If people come in with bad intentions and they're protesting, they have their cameras, I don't see a single thing wrong with grabbing somebody and pushing them out of the door. Would you?
No, I would. I've actually spoke to this twice in the last 2 days on videos I put out on my feed, and there's three key words here: knowingly, willingly, and intentionally. So if somebody crosses that boundary, be it on your property, be it in your business, be it in your person, you could be out in public, you could be on a sidewalk, and if somebody is coming up to you knowingly, willingly, intentionally, harassing you, taunting you, menacing you, and they're calling it freedom of speech, but it places you in fear. And I've said this, I don't know how many times in tactical classes that we've taught, what does fear look like? Because we get a lot of people that will come in, and I don't want to rabbit trail this far, but I think it's a valid point. We get a lot of people that come in, and they want to carry concealed, and they have their reasons. One of the things that I say, because I'll talk about 40% of my people out of carrying, and a lot of people are like, Micah, that's a terrible business model. Well, not if they shouldn't have a gun. It's not safe. But going to the fear factor, a lot of people are going to the gun because they're afraid. And I always say, look, the gun is a tool. What happens up here in your brain, your de-escalation, your ability to deal with things, all of this stuff can transpire in seconds. And you don't get to always control the situation or the narrative, but you can certainly control the outcome to a certain degree. And when I look at it, I think to myself, you can't tell. So like the thing we talked about in the last podcast where that lady turned down that street and she got stuck in that crowd and they surrounded her. And there were cops there, by the way. And they were trying to get her out and they were hitting her car. So they've damaged her car. So you got criminal mischief. They've terrified her. They've menaced her. She had a right at that point in time in fear for her life because they asked her she says, I was scared to death. I thought I was going to die. That's all I need to hear in a court of law. And here's the reason why. When I train, I look at people and I go, who in here is afraid of spiders, snakes, small spaces, heights? I always get people raising their hands. And I'm like, can I tell you not to be afraid of a snake or a spider? I mean, I'm not, but I can't tell you not to be. So you can't tell me that I wasn't in fear for my family's life. So in a business, in a situation like what you're talking about, you got kids, it's a church going on, like what we saw there in Minneapolis or where it was at in whatever part of Minnesota. Don Lemon goes in. You see these kids terrified.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you that that's a justification to go to deadly force.
No.
But if you have an aggressor coming at you physically, harming your family, you can defend yourself to the death. And a lot of people don't understand that. But to back it up to your question, and the reason I brought up the example in the class is if people are scared, you have a right to stop that threat. You have a right to defend it. Can you get up and take people outside? Better believe you can.
Of course you
can. It is going to be a butt-kicking process.
Why do you think
on.
that it's allowed for clubs to have bouncers?
Absolutely
right?
it is.
It's even more so important for churches to have a team equipped, prepared, and ready to escort disruptors out as people are gathering to worship God together and practice our right. We have a protected right to be able to gather and worship God.
Do you know it's the first part of the First Amendment, by the way?
Absolutely.
It's not the second part. Everybody keeps saying freedom of speech. The very first part of the First Amendment is freedom of religion.
Yes. And that's so important. That's what when I'm saying that Christian men have taken a back seat, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Who's going to stand up and be like, all right, we're doing this. I'm pulling you out of here. Yeah. You have a literal right to do that. Now, some people are going to say, well, is that actually like Christ? Like, well, I believe so. I believe that Christ himself showed what happens whenever you try, what his response was whenever you try to make a place of worship something it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a platform to go make a political argument. If people are worshiping in the sanctity of a service that they're putting on, there's protection in that, not only politically, which comes, thankfully in our country we have that, but that's come second. We're doing what we genuinely are convicted by. We're following God. That comes first. We're doing what God wants us to do. And we have to, as men, be willing to protect our families to be able to continue to do that. Whether we have a right politically or not. How many people are around the world that are literally being persecuted, are literally being put to death, or having to go underground with a lot of their services because of laws that are in place that don't protect them, but they're doing it anyways. And we in America, as we see this example in this church, nobody got up and did anything. Nobody pushed or got anybody out. And some people out there would probably say, well, okay, but isn't that more of a peaceful, loving response? Like, no. If you love somebody, you're going to tell them the truth. They are so wrong for going into a church service and trying to disrupt what we have as freedom in our country, but what we also have as a conviction that we're walking in. And we have a call with our families that we're responding to try to seek God and worship him and do something that is true and pure in a world that is so corrupt. Yeah. I mean, in my situation here in the jiu-jitsu gym, and then whenever we have services, whenever we have Bible studies on Monday, and then whenever the coffee shop has Bible studies on Wednesday, with everything that's going on here, most people would be having to be all like 10 kinds of dumb to come into a jiu-jitsu gym and try to try any shenanigans.
Yes, they do.
They're getting kicked to the curb, right? But at the same time, exactly what you said, it's not like I'm saying go to deadly force. I'm talking about pushing somebody out, walking somebody out, doing it as peaceful as possible. Private buildings, go watch Buddy the Elf, okay? They escort Buddy out of the office.
Yes, they
right?
do.
It's okay to have a team to be able to escort people out of private facilities.
And he was just there to see his dad.
He was
Jared.
just there to see his dad.
Come on, man. I
love you. I love you. I love you. Yeah, security.
But no. It's so true, and you have hit on something that I think what most people are afraid of. And look, I'm not prophetic. I would like to think I'm a little discerning with a little bit of background and a touch of knowledge on this stuff. But at the end of the day, there's people far wiser.
Oh, you're
than
being modest.
You're being modest. I will say this.
You know what you're talking about. Tell them. They need to hear from somebody like you.
You're Muslim. You're walking down the street. 5, 6 guys. Picture this. 5, 6 guys start taunting this person, taunting them. And let's say that they're white and Christian. Let's just play the big elephant in the room for a second. I would go over, undeniably, and defend that Muslim man against those 5 or 6 white dudes that are claiming to be Christians that are taunting him. Any day of the week that ends in a Y. Why? Because it's, number one, he's outnumbered. Number two, if he's not doing anything and asking for it, there is no reason for somebody to be overdoing that. Flip the script, same thing happens. So why would I sit there? I mean, we're not law enforcement for the few. We're not law enforcement for just a group of people or a sect. You're law enforcement. The law is written for everybody, and it is enforced equally across the board. You may not like it, but at the end of the day, that's how this rolls. So as a security director or as private protection or whatever it may be, my responsibility is what's in the confines of that building. In our church, first thing I'm going to protect is what? The kids, period.
Amen.
Then the congregation, and then I'll worry about the pastor and the staff because I'm going to protect those that are the most innocent. I've got a game plan with the pastor. That's not nearly as big a concern to me as the kids.
Most innocent, most vulnerable.
Yeah, if you're coming in and you're going to create harm, you're going to be met. If you're coming to create a disturbance, you're going to be met. Now, as I don't know if I said this in the last podcast. I know I said it on my video the other day. We had this happen at a church I worked at back in the day. We had 10,000 people a week, and I had 90 people on my team. There was I don't remember what the event was, but we had like 50-some people with signs show up on the property. The thing is we were on like 12 acres. And I'm like, hey, you guys can go stand on the sidewalk and scream all day long. And it was great because it was like 140 yards from the building. You couldn't even hear them. But they kept breaching the parking lot. And so we sent some dudes out there. We ended up calling the sheriff's department. It was their jurisdiction, and they came down. But you know what I did? I invited 3 of them in.
Good.
Hey, drop your signs. Forget whatever you're yelling at. Come inside.
Good.
You guys can come in and have coffee. You can come hang out. Come watch some worship. Listen to the message. And when you leave peacefully. And if you don't like it, go get on TikTok. Go get on whatever you want. It didn't even have TikTok then. Go get on Facebook. I don't care. And go write your nastygram. But what you're not going to do is come in and create a disturbance. But I'll invite you in all day long because to me it's a discipleship opportunity. But the second you go sideways, we're going to react to that. Your actions dictate our reactions.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand that. I mean, it would in my home. If I pulled into my driveway tonight and I had 30 protesters standing in my front yard, I can tell you this, they're not going to be standing in my front yard. Now, I realize the sidewalk is nearby, but again, there's law. So your rights end when you violate somebody else's. And there's a lot of people don't understand that because they keep screaming. Don Lemon kept saying this. Did you hear him in the video talking to the pastor? It's First Amendment. I have a First Amendment right. No, you do not. You unequivocally, without exception, do not have a right to stand in here doing what you're doing right now. Yeah. You can stand on the sidewalk and you can ask the pastor when he comes outside.
Yeah.
You can talk. What you can't do is breach. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I would have been dragging that dude out. No doubt about it.
Yeah. And you make really good points. And I get fired up about this stuff a little bit. And
you should.
But we have to keep it in the perspective of what we teach and train here. I don't want anybody out there that's not familiar with what we teach and train to just jump to conclusions. Obviously, the first thing starts with communication. You've got to be able to communicate. Some people will allow you to do that. Others literally won't. And we've got so many examples of that. If you go and turn on any headline of how loud people are getting whenever they think they have their important message to convey, and they're just screaming, shame, shame, shame. They won't even listen. The people who won't listen, well, communication's out the door.
Sure.
At that point, it is very much time, hands on, escort them out the door, right? I'm not saying to start knocking people out, but I am saying start pushing people out. You need to walk people out at a certain point. But before that is obviously communication. Hey, you're not allowed to do that here. We do have a team that is going to escort you out. But you're welcome to join us if you sit quietly. You're welcome to join us and be here and listen. And if you have critiques or questions after, we'll talk to you. But not in the middle of service, not in the middle of what we're doing. We have a team that will happily meet with you, greet you, and welcome you. And we can have all the discussions that you want. But this is not a place where we're just going to tolerate you coming in with your nonsense, coming in screaming. So if you're going to do that, you will be escorted out. And it starts with grabbing the arm and walking them out the door. And if they resist, it's always de-escalation, and you're not the one who escalates. You respond as they escalate. Yeah. That's always the proper response.
It's a continuum of force. Law enforcement has it for a reason. We've been over to the podcast. Soft empty hand, cop goes to hard empty hand. Hard empty hand for the suspect, cop can go to a taser, baton, asp, spray, whatever. From there, if it goes to deadly force, cop can go to deadly force. The problem is people don't understand. This can go from 0 to 100 inside of 2 seconds. Happens all the time. And we're seeing a lot of this unfold on video after video after video after video. So while TikTok and YouTube and others don't like, the faith-based stuff, they have no problem with the other platforms. And you can pull up these videos one after another right now of law enforcement being attacked, innocent people being attacked. And folks, you just got to realize, look, it's not a matter of returning evil with evil, sitting there screaming at somebody. We're talking about stopping the threat, removing somebody from the property, period.
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing how tempting it is to just sit on situations like this and just sit on your hands and don't do anything. See how it plays out. You got the video cameras, you got the pressure. You're like, I don't know if I want to do anything. I don't know. There was a situation yesterday. I was sitting outside right here having coffee. This huge semi-truck pulls up right in front of us. I'm like, oh, I don't know what's getting delivered. Nothing's getting delivered. There's a bunch of younger dudes in the front seat. They jump out. One of the guys runs over to the dumpster, and he's about to start throwing a whole bunch of trash into our dumpster here. I don't even know this guy. And I was very tempted, just like, whatever. We've got space. The trash just came, whatever. And I was going to just let it slide. But the guy starts throwing trash. He doesn't open the dumpster. He doesn't open the door. This is broad daylight in the middle of business hours. And he starts throwing stuff over the wall. And I'm still tempted. I'm like, But then as soon as he starts throwing stuff over, I'm like, okay. You know who's going to have to pick that up later?
Yeah.
Me or one of the employees here.
Right.
I walk over to the guy and I tell him, dude, go pick that up. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, the trash that you just threw over the wall, go pick it up. And then the other guy in the truck rolls his window and I said, what's the problem? He's just throwing trash away. I said, no, he didn't throw trash away. He threw trash over the wall. Have some respect. Open the door. Open the trash can at least, because this is not a public dump. I'll let you put trash in there, but you're going to put it in the dumpster. And so the guy, they they put the trash in the dumpster, and then they block the parking lot, beeping their truck out of here, and I'm just like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Go to a gas station. Go put your trash somewhere where it belongs. Don't pull into a public business. And if you are, at least have the decency to open the trash can and put trash in the dumpster, not just lob it over the wall.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's an entitlement thing, dude. I mean, we've gotten to a point where I just think most people just don't. Let me retract that. I shouldn't say most. Handfuls of people in pockets get all the attention, and I think this is what we see. So if I say most, the reason I wanted to correct that, most people are not walking in here or driving in here and throwing stuff over into the trash area. But when they do something like that, you as the business owner and or a citizen, I think have a right to go, hey, that's not the right thing to do. And you said it. I'd let them throw the trash away. I did the same thing at our church. I had to do it. I pulled in one night and there was a guy offloading like 25 bags out of the back of a Toyota Tacoma.
Unbelievable.
And the first thing he said is he goes, I give my money to this church. It's like, dude, who are you? I work here. I've been going to this church for years. I've never seen you before. He goes, well, it was a long time ago, but I give my money to this church. And I'm like, dude, that has nothing to do with nothing. But if you want to throw your trash away, I'll help you. If you're in a bad situation. And we ended up talking, and he of course then confessed, and he felt bad. I'm like, just ask, man, just ask. People are giving. Like, I would be more than happy to help somebody out.
That's the thing though, is it's got to move from right to obligation. Like whenever we start talking about we have a right to talk or confront or escort out, we've already lost the point. There's a difference between a right and an obligation. As a man, we have an obligation to just defend, respect, honor. Some things are very obvious and common sense, and it feels like that we've become very detached from that level of common sense and just operating, doing it, even if it's uncomfortable. Even if I got to go walk up to a dude in this big truck yesterday and be like, hey, put the trash away. It's uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. I'm having a conversation. I'm having coffee, and I don't want to have to deal with this. But somebody has to do it because, number one, these young guys that are doing this, they need to have somebody tell them, hey, you should definitely operate with more respect than this. Number two, I don't want to have to clean up that trash later, and I certainly don't want the girls at the coffee shop to have to go in there and clean up the trash later. So somebody has to say something. It doesn't matter if I have a right to do it or not. It's an obligation for me to do it at that point.
Agreed.
I think that that's a lens and a perspective that really needs to change in a lot of things, is we just need to stand. We need to stand and we need to lead. We need to use the rights that we still have to do everything we can to protect them, because we don't want to have underground church services. We don't want to have religious freedom that we practice in quiet and in silence. And the truth of the matter is, if we practice our Christianity in quiet and in silence, it's going to continue to be suppressed.
Of course.
Because that's exactly what's happened. As Christian men have grown more quiet, all of those opposing them have grown louder and louder and louder. We've got to have men stand up, stand firm, grow bold, have courageous faith, and do the right thing. Do the right thing. And that means showing up. That means being a part of discussions you maybe don't want to, maybe don't even have time for, but you make time. You make time to go to that school meeting. You make time to go to that hearing. You make time to go vote. You make time to go get involved in whatever rally you need to voice everything that's going wrong in this world, everything that's going wrong in your community, the things that you don't want to see happen. You take time to lean into these uncomfortable conversations and to make sure your voice is heard, because we've got one of the most important voices to be heard, and that is the love of Christ, speaking the truth in love. And the truth in love doesn't mean this flowery tolerance. Doesn't mean that we're just going to accept everything and just be pushovers. Truth in love means, you know what? You are completely wrong for killing babies and having a state like we have that just lets people kill babies up till birth. That is wrong. It's truth and love. If you love somebody, you're going to tell them what you're doing is going to lead to death. If it hurts your feelings, it hurts your feelings. But I don't want you to die. I love you enough to want to take a stand and say, we need to have a change in direction. We need a course correction. I love you enough to tell you the truth, even if it hurts your feelings.
Amen.
Anyway, hot take, cold truth has gone a long time.
It went a while, but you know what? Here's the thing, and we should say it unapologetically. We need to be saying more of this. And I'm glad that this segment went a little long today, because at the end of the day, we're still fine-tuning a couple things anyway. But this is an important deal, because the things that you hit on in the trash and example, I think everybody's sensing it and feeling it. Now, and I've said that multiple times over multiple episodes. You really can feel the barometer and the pressure rising in the country right now over many things. And we've always had circumstances and instances of things that set people off. I mean, if you it just, and you will remember this. So if I say the Rodney King thing, you remember Rodney King?
No.
Oh, before your time. Okay. Greatest example I could have ever given, and Jared doesn't know. So Rodney King was essentially beat by a bunch of LA cops. And I don't remember if it was after a traffic stop or what it was, but it was they burned LA. When I say burned, I mean like they went out and full on rioted, and they lost their ever-loving minds over this thing because the video captured from a helicopter is like 8 or 10 cops with nightsticks, and they are going to town on Mr. King. Mm-hmm. Now, Mr. King had a career past of criminal history, lengthy. Don't even know what he did that night. I'll be honest with you. I really don't know. But I can tell you, watching that video, I've never been so sickened to death in my life of watching the excuses and the justifications that came from that thing. And when I say they burnt the city, I mean, there were portions of LA that were on fire for weeks. It was a magnitude, like 8 earthquake in LA. And for me as a cop, it ticked me off. There were so many things that were so wrong with that on so many levels. And people remember this kind of stuff. And I could sit here and go from Rodney King, and this is way back in the day, all the way up until now, there's always going to be something to be mad about. There's always going to be wrongdoing on both sides of the political aisle, on both sides of humanity, on both sides of culture, on both sides of socioeconomic status. There's always going to be rights and wrongs. There's always going to be indifferences. There's always going to be truths. There's always going to be bad. There's always going to be evil. To me, it's mostly about attitude. It's mostly about your faith. It's mostly about how you walk and carry yourself. But when these things go sideways and or things are being done in something far more recent, so Rodney King all the way to just a few months ago, the young lady sitting on the subway, we all see these things. And it hurts, and it's hard to watch, and it's terrible, and it's evil on every level. And we got to call it out for what it is. I can tell you, as a cop, retired, I look back at Rodney King, and that is one of the biggest black eyes in law enforcement I have ever seen in my life. And yet there were people that were defending that. And I'm like, I don't know how you defend 10-on-1 when a guy is just getting sticked to death. Yeah. And you watch this stuff and you go, what the heck? So there's always going to be this stuff. And it's how you respond to it is what you do. And right now we've got so much traction on the progressive entitled left that they've just taken a hold of this country. I'd never even heard, truthfully speaking, I mean, I'm going to recant that. I've heard of the thing called trans back in the day. I just didn't realize it was a thing. Like in the last 24 months, 36 months, whatever it's been, the whole Bud Light thing and Dylan Mulvaney or whatever his name is that pretends to be a girl. This stuff has gained like monumental traction to the point that it's in our schools, it's in our laws, it's in women's sports. It is nuts. And this is stuff that we should be speaking the truth on. I mean, what do we need? 2 6-year-olds to explain it to you? I mean, how hard is it to figure out male, female? Well, apparently it's really hard because we have committees in the Olympics that are talking about it right now. We have the Supreme Court trying to decide on it. And yet all I got to do is go, I can't even say it on the podcast because it would be rated R, but I can tell you I could prove it in 10 seconds is the point. And I can't believe we as a society and as a world, it's not just here, it's in other countries. And you're going, wait, what? That's where we're at. People are afraid of the truth. So it's easier to embrace this ideology and the craziness and fight over it and scream about it and yell than it is just to look at the reality and the truth. Rodney King, horrific situation. Career criminal or not, horrific situation to watch unfold. Makes my stomach churn just thinking about it. Girl on the subway, makes my stomach churn just thinking about it. Kids cowering underneath their parents in a church service while some yin-yang comes in and justifies First Amendment, makes my stomach churn. So how do you react? Truth. Tell the truth. Stand in the face of evil. If it gets ugly, I guess at some point you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about my white supremacy thing later in the episode, yesterday. I don't want to do it right now. Let's go to the next subject.
Yeah, we got to go into the deep dive. You can do that in the deep dive. We're already running on fumes on time here.
What? I'm just getting up to speed, man. I'm having fun today.
All right. Everyday carry. Everyday carry. I guess I'll go first. Camera's on me. I am carrying a DB9, Diamondback Firearms. That's what I have today. Camera, if you can see that. I like this because it's got a nice little clip. It's a great pocket gun.
It is a pocket gun.
It is a great pocket gun. Now, I'm not going to advise you to go to war with a DB9, but it beats nothing, but hardly.
It'll. Well, I brought something that's less than that.
No,
So, yeah,
no.
I did.
This is
Wait till I
this
show it
is
to you.
6+1, 9mm, and it is honestly really small. The sights are not half bad. You got quite a bit of visibility on the sights here, and it's just so small, slim, compact. I like having the belt clip just on the side, be able to carry this without even having to have a holster. I do have a wallet holster for this. That's kind of cool, actually. That
Really?
just makes it literally look like a wallet. Doesn't have so that you don't print whenever you have it in your pocket. Nothing. So it's cool, and it's also very cheap, like $200.
Yeah, it's not quite the carbon copy of the Smith & Wesson Sigma I used to carry back in the day that I ended up running over in a car chase. But every guy that worked with me back in law enforcement in the Carolinas, they knew I had that on my ankle because I was always in foot chases, and it was great because it was small, it was light, you could run through mud and water and it would still fire, but that's what it used to look like. And it was a 6+1 too. So what I brought, this is what I carry 90% of the time so this is just my Springfield Hellcat. I have a Hellcat Pro that's threaded, but I also brought, the Hellcat I carry on my person, but this I brought today for fun. So when I say this is the lesser, this is a 22. Or Matt. So this is an FN, excuse me, FNN. I guess it is FNN technically. It's a 22 with a can. It goes when you shoot it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Pretty cool.
If it fires. Because it's a rim fire.
Yep.
So I do classes with this thing because one in about 7 or 8 rounds, it'll malfunction in some way. You'll get a bad feed because it's rim fire. So it teaches good muscle memory on how to clear. So tap, rack, bang, and all this stuff. So I wouldn't advise anybody to run out and go buy yourself a FN 22 model. But when it does fire, it's fun. And when I go to the range, it's great for gals. It's easy to chamber. It's easy to rack. It's easy to control. And the nice thing about it is when it mouths, it teaches them how to clear. And so I've never owned a gun that actually doesn't work great, but ends up working great for training. So, and I put the can on it so I don't have to deafen myself when I'm out there in the range.
Yeah. Well, for dessert today, I
That
am
sounded like John Wick.
I am carrying speaking of Smith & Wesson, this is Smith &
cool.
Wesson Extreme Ops. This is a skeletonized carry knife, and it feels great in the hand. It's very useful. It's been kind of beaten to crap, but it works pretty well. Nice, affordable carry knife here, and I like it a lot. It's got little assist. It's not spring assisted. It's just 100% force. You got to kind of be a man and actually, just use that finger to just bang, boom, open it up. So I like this knife a lot. I've carried it for quite a few years now. I've got a lot of different knives. As many know, if you've been listening from the beginning, I like to also carry Microtech. Problem is my Microtechs right now, they need to be cleaned.
Oh, they get
They're
dirty.
starting to get a little bit stiff on the opening sometimes, and so that's why right now I am opting to carry this guy. So I've got that. I've also got the Gerber dime. If anybody has missed that, this is awesome. This tool is amazing. The Gerber dime is what I use regularly every single day in a pinch. It's got pliers, but it doesn't stop there. It also is one of the few multi-tools that has pliers as well as little scissors. Usually it's either or for a lot of
I could
little
trim my
multi-tools,
nails with that too.
But it's also, got screwdrivers, knives, the works. It's an awesome little multi-tool, so highly recommend the Gerber dime if you're looking for a cheap but effective multi-tool. That'll fill the bill, I think.
That's
I
sweet.
think that'll fit the bill. So you don't got any dessert? No dessert today?
Do what? Always have dessert.
Always.
Always have dessert. So, this is my Smith & Wesson. I guess they call it a carry knife. I call it a necklace knife. So when we train the women's self-defense classes,
Yeah.
I always give one of these away to every gal that comes to the class.
It's awesome.
It's like a razor blade. It fits great into your hand. It's very, very concealable. So if you get into a really, really bad situation, I don't use it much for like, I've got another one here, different one, that I carry for everything. So this is my box opener, my go-to, worst case scenario street fight. But this is great because it's hidden and it hangs around my neck and you can reach up and,
You're going to have to put your hand behind the knife so the camera can see because the black shirt's not really or they use the white wall. That works too.
put it on the outside. So
Yeah.
necklace, knife, waist. Both going to Kydex, both lock in. That's why I like it.
Yeah.
Can't
Fixed
really,
blade.
they're hard to lose.
Yeah.
And they don't print.
Yeah. So you're a fixed blade kind of guy.
I am actually. I've only got one flippy knife, as I like to call it. That
Yeah.
opens up. But yeah, I'm a fixed blade guy.
Man, that little necklace knife, so cute.
It is.
It's a nice little bite-sized karambit.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you a story real quick, and this is for anybody out there. Look up, not here on the show. Look up. I think it's LA Cop. And it is. I'm gonna tell you right now. It is hard to look at these. It's some graphic images, but this is what the guy used. And I want to say he was 5'4", like $120, and the cop was like 6'3", 225. Went to arrest the guy, and the guy was a knife expert. I could be wrong, but I think he received over 2,000 stitches
Man.
and lived. And
That's
I mean,
crazy.
to every part of his body with this.
Yep.
That's the reason I bought it.
Yeah.
It is so highly effective. And I'm telling you, it's fast.
Bite size.
Bite
but
size.
Packs a punch.
You only got to go in an inch and a half, man.
Yeah.
That's
the
arterial.
nickname. That's the nickname for that, man. That's the cyanide knife.
It's something else.
It might be small, but it's deadly.
And the girls love it because it's easy to conceal for them. They like it.
Very nice. Very nice. Man, I'm excited to really start to lean into some more fun content with the daily carry stuff, get some gun reviews, get some range time, be able to incorporate it on this show, but also start posting some useful guides and tips, how-tos, but also just gear review online because if there's something that we're really passionate about, we love, it's definitely both of us. We like what we carry.
Yep.
But this is a good segue to lead us into the next discussion, and that is if it popped off tonight, the scenario we're going to lay out, because I'm very excited about Colorado being one of the first, I believe, 4 states, something like that, to have an actual PGF jiu-jitsu team franchise.
What?
The Colorado Wolverines. It's just now been officialized. We've got an actual jiu-jitsu team. Hopefully more to come on that. I'm excited to hopefully get alongside those guys and do what I can to help in any way that I can because I'm really excited about it. But the Colorado Wolverines. Well, it's been quite a while since we've had any sightings of Wolverines in Colorado. But
There's a fire hydrant down the street
there is a fire hydrant down the
that
street.
poses as Wolverine.
Believe me, my truck knows very well. The Colorado Wolverines. What do you think this is going to lead us to discuss? As if it popped off tonight?
I have no idea where you're going
Red
with this.
Dawn
Okay.
situation.
I was picturing Patrick
The
Swayze.
Wolverines.
I was right. I was Patrick Swayze.
The
Yeah, yeah.
Wolverines. If it popped off tonight, we are being invaded. I don't know who it is, but they're invading us, and it is time to make the decision. Are we fighting back? Are we heading for the hills? What are we doing? It happens tonight. We are invaded quickly, and it is just quickly all fallen and taken over. We have been overwhelmed by the infiltration. We've been overwhelmed by opposing forces. What are we doing?
Am I going to die? It's the question is, I mean, because the answer is indicative of that. So we've been taken over, but is the likelihood I'm going to die if I don't do something? I need to know the qualifier on that. Because taking over is
Let's paint the picture. Let's paint the picture.
Lay it out there.
Troops, tanks, forces, they have all flown in. And, I mean, let's just say we are outnumbered in a big way.
That's a different. Okay.
We're outnumbered.
All right.
Let's make that the qualifier. I think that we could get into so many details, but let's just make the qualifier. We are outnumbered.
Okay.
They have already taken over.
Okay. Boots on the ground. We're getting after it. All right. Trailer, both Can-Ams hooked to the back of the truck. Jeep follows, blacked out. I'm heading to my buddy's I've got 2 different locations, one local. Actually, I have 3 locations, but one local, about 4 miles from my house, probably where I'm going to end up. Line of sight, tactical elevation, 360-degree views, 260 miles of view capability through binos on the curvature of the earth. He has the ability to live off the grid. Jenny's to take care of everything else. He's on 80 acres, concealed behind gates at a high elevation point with low tactical strongholds below. That's probably destination number 1. Destination number 2 is Fairplay. Buddy up there, similar circumstance, actually bought a cabin, about 3,000 square foot cabin that actually has an underground, goes to a pole barn that sits about 50 yards away, actually has an underground tunnel encased in concrete, airways, the whole 9 yards. Survivability up there would be very, very high. Destination number 3, I can't say. But
Good.
I would be taking long, medium, and close range everything.
Well, of course.
But I would be blacked out the entire time. I'd be running dark, even if I went all the way to Fairplay.
I think that the scenario that we're talking about, as unlikely as it is, because of the old saying, "Don't attack America. There's a rifle behind every blade of grass." Something like that. Somebody said something like that, right?
There's a lot of guns here.
But the situation, I would imagine. I don't know. I mean, it would be very interesting what the response would be. Would there be active resistance from the get-go? Would there just be compliance from the get-go? Would there be a mixture of both? It would be very dependent on those scenarios, because as smart as the response would be to grab the go box, grab the go bag, get the gear, get the family, get in the truck, and go, hit the heels. I mean, what if the roads are shut down? What if there's blockades? What if there's those types of considerations we definitely don't want to take and forget about or neglect? So I think there's something to be said about leaning into communication systems that are off-grid and being able to have points of reference to be able to bounce off of people without having to depend on cell phone towers. Things like inReach, things like just some of the things we'll use when we're hunting. Being able to tag in with some of the QRF, so to speak, of our own making here at the gym, I think very important. Being able to just tag in with guys, hey, how you doing? You got a plan? Where are you going? And make sure that there's a little bit of coordination where there can be. And, hey, the road clear. Where are you headed? All right. Let us know if you need backup. Kind of coordinating with those who are going to be responding in a similar way to the way you would anticipate yourself respond. I think strong points is a very important key. Obviously, we'd want to, if we were going to resist, we still want to go to areas where we know we're going to have a tactical advantage, where we know we're going to have those viewpoints of being able to have field of view and defensible positions. But the gear's got to be ready. I think the gear's got to be ready for a whole lot more than just a situation like that. We talked about it even with the storm in the last episode that we did. The Go Box, so having a couple different items ready, right? In a Go Box that's just ready in a power outage or whatever, and it's got your food, your sources of heat. Then also having your quick deploy, because there's a lot of us, man. There's a lot of guns. We're probably having to pick 3. We're not probably going to be able to take the whole gun safe, right? So there's something to be said about having some of your gear just ready, quick to deploy, quick to mobilize, ready to go. And having a plan, important. I think that for me, my plan immediately is communication. I think the communication is the most important, especially if there's going to be any effectiveness in even being able to survive, fight back if that's the goal, or get to a place where if the priority is keep family safe. There's got to be communication. That's the most important piece, in my opinion.
Yeah, my buddy's got the first one I referenced. He can drone up, get line of sight from my house to his house, and tell me right out of the gate, is the thoroughfare even open? So yeah, comms are. I was going to the retreat areas, but yeah, I would never go anywhere without comms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's first and foremost. The ability to speak and translate and communicate, man, that's priority number one in all situations.
What were we talking about? Was that wait? That wasn't me and you. That was somebody else. But this is something very interesting that we were talking about. Is one of the oldest concepts to be able to defeat and conquer is what? Divide.
Yeah.
And conquer.
Yeah.
If they can get us to where we have no communication, they can get us divided. That's the easiest way to conquer. So communications are the opposite of that. When we're communicating, whenever we're united, whenever we're able to move together, whenever we're able to strategize and plan together, that's where we become effective.
Of course. Yeah.
And that speaks to a lot of areas of life.
Yes, it does.
And that's a perfect way to go into the deep dive here in this episode, because I think there's a lot to be said on that. Because if we just talk about communication, if we just analyze communication, and we've talked about it a little bit already earlier, but I think that can really be sourced and traced to such a foundational part of all of the problems that we're facing is a breakdown in effective communication, a breakdown in being able to sit down and talk with each other, a breakdown of being able to just effectively say, okay, what do you think? This is what I think. Where can we find common ground? Where can we disagree on things but still be okay with each other? And it's also a breakdown because a lot of communication is coming from online sources. A lot of communication is coming from media, and people are believing that communication rather than just wanting to sit down and have a conversation with somebody and get communication. I'm talking about obviously within our own country, within our own communities. It's this polarizing that has really made us vulnerable, made us have the problems that we have, is the division. And the division comes from what? A lack of effective communication. Communication is huge. And I think that if we become more effective in communicating with each other, we could solve a lot of our problems on both sides of the aisle, regardless of what you believe, regardless of what you think. If we could just better communicate with each other, I think that we would see the world change very quickly.
Agreed. Yeah. Our pastor this weekend is, he put the announcement out yesterday, so he is doing a sermon on immigration, legal versus illegal, and pro-love versus pro-law. So going to be a very interesting topic this weekend, which is going to create a lot of communication, a lot of response, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions. Looking forward to it in many ways. I agree with you. And the reason I bring that up is I can tell you right now, tension's already amped up just from the announcement of here's what the message is going to be. But does that mean we don't talk about it? Does that mean that we don't address it? Now, I know where he's going to go with it, but I'm not going to say it out loud right now because I'm not going to do a spoiler alert. But I know his heart. I know him as a man. And I'm pretty sure I've got this thing dialed in pretty tight on where he's going to land. But the byproduct of this is fear, and we're seeing it unfold. And imagine how much you can solve with a little bit of communication. So yesterday, I'm going to leave it nameless, but I can tell you it is not a two-way related thing. It is not a political thing. It is a place that everybody goes to. So think Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, something along that line type of store. I'm picking something up. There is a lady in the self-checkout next to me, and she set something up on the little thing to scan it, and it falls and it breaks. Now, it creates quite a mess. First thing that happens is the self-checkout person comes over, and they look at it, and they go, well, that's literally, and I quote, well, that's just great. That's what I wanted to deal with today. First thing out of her mouth. And I looked at her, and this is an older lady that dropped it. And I said, ma'am, we'll get you taken care of. First thing is do you want another one? Because you were buying this one. And I turned and looked to the gal that was at the self-checkout. I said, is there somebody that could go get one of these from the aisle? I'll help clean up the mess and the broken glass. And the girl looked at me, and she said, it's not my job. If she wants it, and I quote, she can go get another one since she made a mess. Now I'm at a crossroad. I'm in a moment in life, and I'm 57 years old. That's never happened to me before. I've had people spill things, you help out, but I've never embraced or encountered this exact scenario. Uncooperative, demeaning, criticizing, not willing to help, and on top of it, a bit of an attitude. I looked at her and I said, "Do you have paper towel or something in a wastebasket?" And she says, "Well, I guess I can call somebody over here." And I don't know where this came from. Don't know why she said it. She goes, and then I realized later, she goes, "But I'll help you. But I just need you to know I don't like white supremacists." And I went, "Now stick with me here. What do you say to that?" Just to that. Because I can tell you my head went in 17 different directions because I had no idea what she was talking about. I couldn't figure out where in the world this comment came from at all. And then I realized the hat I was wearing. Victor Marx.
Oh.
Dangerous gentleman. Hat. She apparently thinks he's a white supremacist. And she said as much as I'm walking away. You support a white supremacist. And I went, what do I do with this? Do I go to management? Do I, fill in the blank? And I just turned and I looked and I said, "Ma'am, I don't know what's going on in your heart right now." I said, "I'm not going to sit here and defend anything." I said, "I was just trying to help this lady out, but I want you to understand something." I said, "Jesus loves you." She immediately went, "I don't want to hear any of that." And a couple F-bombs dropped on me. And I'll be honest with you, I was stunned. I was literally gut punched. I was like, I just had this weird feeling come over me like, what is wrong in our society? That you can be so cold and so callous and so disconnected, so uncaring, so insulting to somebody, and then on top of it, label somebody because they're wearing a hat. And yet, I stopped in a moment. I realized, I bet I've seen 1,000 videos that look exactly the same way. People walking down the street, getting attacked, people, on and on and on. And I realized it's just where we're at. And all I said was, you know what? I'm just going to forgive it and I'm going to let it go. And I hope I hope the best for you, because I believe you need something inside you besides what you got.
Yeah.
Now, the lady had long since left. Before this, I was actually still cleaning up the mess, and another guy stopped and helped me clean it up. And I left and I thought about it, and I said, I'm just going to do a little prayer on it and figure out what the next step is. Do I go back or do I not go back? So I haven't decided yet.
Well, quite an incident there.
Dude,
you said, what do I say whenever somebody makes that comment? I don't like white supremacists. You know what I would say? I would say I don't either. I said, you know what else? I don't like black supremacists. I don't like brown supremacists.
I
don't like
quick.
red supremacists. I don't like yellow supremacists. I don't like any supremacists, period. I don't like racism, period.
Broke my heart. It just broke my heart is what happened. I wasn't witty enough to come up with that, and I wasn't quick enough. It just broke my heart that she was so angry in life. I think that's where I got stuck. She was just a very angry human being. And it saddened me. It really saddened me. Because we have so many people that are just so wayward right now.
The problem with all that is that whenever you just continue to use terms like that, you're just feeding this problem that shouldn't exist. And if we don't want it to exist, then we have to stop using terms like that. If we want racism to go away, then we have to start making everything racist. We have to stop making everything racist. We've got to start making everything just normal. Okay, he has his views. They have their views.
Yeah.
He's this skin color. She's this skin color. None of that matters.
It was a white girl, by the way.
That is unbelievable.
I know. And yet, here's the thing. Pull up anything on YouTube right now, out in the street with people screaming. Pull up any one of Nick Shirley. Go to any video that he is making or any of these other people are making. Go down the street. What are they saying to him? What are they screaming?
White supremacist.
Oh my gosh, Nazism,
Racist.
this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Except for it's in a business. Here's the kicker. If she had solely walked up to me and just been mad, I would have taken that way different than the way she treated that poor lady. Like that was the thing that got my attention more than anything, is what started it. The gut punch came later, as you're just that broken in life and that angry and that misguided
Man.
that you feel that entitled to be able to do that. And so, of course I took a stand, but I took it in a loving way. To me, the approach was I could have come back swinging, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't mean physically, I mean verbally, but I was like, don't go evil for evil.
Yeah.
Just stop and go, you're loved, man. You're loved. Like, I want you to understand you matter.
Yeah.
And F you and this, and that's fine. And that's what I told her. I said, that's fine. I said, I'm going to agree to disagree. I'm sorry for you right now. That's all I kept saying is I'm just sad for you. There's so much more that you're missing. And I just walked away. And I'll be honest with you, after I walked away, I actually felt light about it. I didn't feel like I was carrying this burden outside. The only thing that I contemplated was, well, do I go back in and let management out? Probably. That's probably a good idea. But I was in a hurry. I had other things going on. But I was more concerned to go check on the lady. And at that point in time, she was long since gone. It took like 10 minutes to clean that mess up. It went everywhere.
Yeah. Well, that would be my my red flag for today. Would be racism is definitely on the rise because people just keep on calling people racist. Whenever you keep on doing that, you're just elevating the topic of race, and you are feeding to a narrative of race and race war whenever you shouldn't be. Racism is not just every person who's white, you call them racist because you know that everybody who's white is racist. That's what it's very quickly become. And that is in itself racist.
Yeah.
And the thing is people are just, why isn't anybody really calling it out? And if racism is really so bad, then why is it that so many people are just tolerating blatant racism? Whenever we, like on the last episode, talked about Michelle Obama saying that on a show, saying that she avoids white brands.
Yeah.
That's racist. That is racist. I don't get how it's just a double standard and it's hypocrisy and it's just tolerated.
But it shouldn't be anywhere.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Make no mistake. I'm not. Racism and the entire topic really should just be put down. It should be put to rest. We are living in a country with equal rights. In fact, almost probably unequal rights. At this point, we just now read the stats of white men. If anything, white men and white people are becoming quite a minority. And we're the ones who are getting blamed. We're the ones who are getting accused. We're the ones who are getting abused from all these narratives of people saying that white people are the worst, white supremacists, white, and a lot of it is white people feeding into it.
Yeah. Well, it's
and
the white
ridiculous.
people screaming it too.
Yeah, but that would be my red flag for sure. Is racism's on the rise, but my green flag would be I just saw an article, Gen Z turning to Christianity.
Yeah.
More than ever before.
You stole my thunder.
That is my green flag for sure. The green flag I would call attention to is that I would say 2 green flags, Jesus and jiu-jitsu. We've got a flag right here over my shoulder that says that. Those are 2 things that are trending that more people are coming to. And the church, the many churches and many jiu-jitsu gyms, they show so well what it looks like to live in a world that's in unity. And there is no racism. There is no, the mats don't lie. Jesus doesn't lie. You're supposed to have a place where people are welcomed to be united by the same thing. And that's what many churches do very well. That's what many jiu-jitsu schools do very well. We've got so many different people from different walks of life, and they're all welcome. They all belong, and we all have a community together. And it's all kinds of different shapes, sizes, hair colors, skin colors, and that's okay. We're united by what's bringing us together. And we're not calling attention to our differences. We're calling attention to what we both and what we all have in common, what we're seeking, how we're trying to improve, how we're trying to grow, how we're trying to lean into some of the uncomfortable things, some of the challenges so that we can become better people together. That would be, I think, the most important green flag to give attention to by far.
I'd say amen. My red flag is progressive, elitist, entitled liberalism ideology. Put it all together, it just seems to be synonymous with each of those things, synonymous with each other, and it just I don't know, it's swept over the land. But you took my thunder on the green flag. It's I think we're seeing a rising up of young people, and this is why I said I've said this multiple times, many podcasts. I've been interviewed on other podcasts. Donald Trump, regardless of your feelings, Donald Trump had to win 45, had to lose 46 for 47 to happen because we had to test drive the lunacy. So we now know where the hardcore progressive left will go to. And now in 47, we're seeing the pushback. So they had their playtime. They had their fun. Everybody says, this is nuts. Trump overwhelmingly wins. The problem we have right now is we've got a lot of speed bumps. He's having a hard time getting certain things done because everybody's gridlocking everything. But now you're starting to see the reactions. But the green flag and all of that is there's an uprising of young people that now see it. So they came up because you got to put it in perspective on a time frame. Nick Shirley is 23 years old. We're, a year in to Trump's deal. So he'd have been 22 when Trump was elected, which means he would have been 18 at the time that Biden came into office. So as a senior in high school, going into a college-age young man, he's watching, as an example, he's watching this unfold. He's watching this generation lose its mind. And what does he do? He goes, I've had enough. I'm picking up a camera, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to start telling stories. And where was he invited into yesterday? Where did he testify?
Yeah, it's
right?
pretty amazing.
And what did he say? Yeah, well, they're just not smart. And it's easy. But the truth of the matter is that what that young lady did yesterday was not smart. It wasn't. It was entitled. It was aggressive. It was mean-spirited. It was a lot of things, but it was not intelligent. And it is good. I think the green flag, I think you were spot on it. We have some young people that are starting to wake up and starting to see this. But we also have a lot of people that are doubling down, not realizing it. And, that's the red flag right now. So we'll see where it goes.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the episode. And we went a little bit long today, but that's okay. Hopefully you stayed entertained. Big things coming over the next several weeks and a big year ahead for the Daily Carry podcast, as well as other projects that me and Mike are both a part of. And look forward to more engaging and exciting content coming from us. Look forward to more gear reviews and gear tactics and tips. But also, we would like to make it a point, as we're signing off every episode, to just request the audience to engage with us online. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and share if you're willing to. That would be awesome. We really appreciate your support. We appreciate you listening and tuning into the Daily Carry podcast. And we're excited for what's coming up the next couple weeks and throughout this year. We're going to stay in our commitment. We're going to stay true to our commitment to you as our audience to continue to bring you more and better content.
Amen.
So stick with us.
Love it. Couldn't have said it better. All right. I'll close this.
Yes, sir.
By God, thank you for this opportunity to come together with Jared this morning. Lots happening in the world, lots of uncertainty, lots of people unsettled, lots of aggressiveness, a lot of bad things happen, a lot of division, but light is always found through the darkness. And my prayer and hope for our country is that the young people that are starting to rise continue to wake up, continue to read, continue to develop, continue to see the good, and we can counterbalance this thing. And ultimately, I pray for our president, the leadership of our country right now, regardless of what people think one way or another. It's a difficult job. I hope that they lead well and they continue towards safety as the priority for this country. And that right there is far and away my biggest concern on every level, federal, state, local. So pray for the men and women in blue. Pray for the men and women on the front lines that are protecting this great nation. It's in your son's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Until next time.
Until next time.
Did I hurt you?
No, my back. I'm a little sore from. I didn't sleep last night. Like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe. And on top of that, I pulled my groin last night in hockey, so I'm a little tender.
I think that was better. You still got to dial in a little. You really got to try to keep it to 60 minutes. I think an hour and 30 minutes is just too much for most people right now. I think every once in a while we go long, but in the meantime, our best episodes are our shortest episodes by far. So, I just think we need to continue to refine that format. But I think that to your point and to Kyle's point, today, we don't announce these segments. We just have the framework over time. We remember it, we know what we're doing.
Oh,
we
yeah.
go through it. And then it doesn't feel so segmented so much as it does just feel like this is what we do on our podcast. This is the topics that we cover. This is what we go through.